Ida was amazingly catastrophic. It spun up so quickly and it was devastating.
Hurricane Ida was bigger and stronger than Hurricane Katrina.
Most of southeast Louisiana felt Ida in some way or another.
We had orange helicopters over the sky in New Orleans the morning after the storm hit, and we were looking for people on roofs.
But the levees held this time, and the people in New Orleans and along the Gulf Coast, they've learned when to evacuate. We had 15 lives saved and 412 assisted. After the initial search and rescue response, the Coast Guard transitions to a recovery mode.
Grand Isle, Louisiana was terribly hard hit. Where homes once stood, there was only splinters. And so in our initial sorties to Grand Isle, Louisiana, the helicopters and their crew would land on a beach and go door to door, knock to see how are folks and what is the condition, what do people need. When we overflew the Mississippi River the next morning, what we saw was the large ocean-going vessels that come up this river had broken away from their moorings. We saw 9 that had been grounded in the New Orleans area. In addition to that, there were hundreds, literally almost 500 barges, which had broken away throughout the port area and been driven up into levees or into infrastructure on the river.
You had hundreds of millions of dollars per day that would be moving, especially along this river, that was not moving. You had resources and cargo that needed to go to these refineries, these facilities, these grain elevators. The stuff wasn't moving, which hampered global markets. So global energy markets, global commodities markets, folks in the area that needed fuel for generators that came from refineries that needed feedstock that were in these vessels that were either offshore, at anchor, and some grounded or sunk. All of that was shut down for 6 days.
So we were looking for how do we first and foremost open this river back up. There was a downed power line that the local power company had to remove ahead of any traffic crossing going through the river because it was literally at the wheelhouse height.
The salvage effort itself was tremendous. We had over 273 ships, boats, barges that were either sunken or had run aground. We discovered over 2,000 what we call the Marine Environmental Response Targets. These were either active spills or potential spills that we had to somehow figure out how to mitigate, address, mitigate, respond to. The Coast Guard's responsibility in setting aids to navigation all along the way, aiding navigation, is critical.
We're always going to be in a risky environment, and we had lost some of the safeguards that typically go with operating in that environment. The yellow line down the middle of the road is the buoys out there. It's the ranges that provide the pilots a course to steer. It's the lights that provide the navigator guide in the middle of the night. Those aids to navigation were wiped out across the state. It doesn't work if people can't find their way down the middle of the road.
And so it's critical for us to make sure that we got out and got those things repaired and or geo-positioned so that the ships that were coming through there 6 days after the storm had passed knew which way they were to go. And then the thing that was so impressive about the Coast Guard men and women of Sector New Orleans and all those that came in to support us from all around the country, and especially our folks here in the region, these folks were impacted as well. Their homes were destroyed, their homes were damaged. Young folks whose apartment complexes that they lived in were condemned. And still, amidst all of it, they were dedicated and driving ahead because they knew we had a larger responsibility. And I love that about serving with this team.
The Commandant expects us to lead in crisis as part of what we do with delivering mission excellence anytime, anywhere under his guiding principles. And lead in crisis is what this team did. They were hardened professionals after 3 really hard hurricane seasons, and I couldn't be prouder to be part of this team.